Call of Duty Vanguard has officially released its PC beta to those who have pre-purchased the game, and the player base has responded with a resounding
"What?"
Put it simply, if you like Cold War, you're gonna like Vanguard. But if you're one of the other 7.674 billion people on this earth who are sane, you're gonna have an extremely hard time convincing yourself that this is worth $60 or even $100, at least right now. In this video, we're gonna go over my first impressions of the PC beta, talk about the good, the bad, and the really bad. So grab your Molotovs, equip your stubby Sten, and let's Hulk smash our way into the Call of Duty Vanguard PC beta. Now, we do know a lot of what is actually in Vanguard already because of the early access PlayStation beta last week, but the crossplay beta has somehow created a new host of problems that many thought were just last-gen port issues, or maybe some weird graphical bugs that wouldn't show up on PC, or at least maybe, just maybe, it would have gotten sorted by now. Before we even start playing, there are tons of reports of people who have purchased the game but can't even access the beta yet, and if you were able to get your code approved and then finally install the game, be prepared for infinite crash loops when attempting to start. On average, it took me roughly 4 tries just by clicking the play button in order to get into the game from the Battle.net browser. When you do finally get in, you're given a pretty basic menu page, which does look standard for a Call of Duty game, and a few tabs to play, edit your loadout, or visit the COD store. As of recording this, they have now implemented an actual filter for these game modes, and you can actually individually select which game mode you want to play from the all quote-unquote normal games, such as Team Deathmatch, Domination, Kill Confirmed, Search and Destroy, and Patrol, which is like a moving King of the Hill mode. If you want to play the new Champion Hill mode, you just have to click the button here, since that is a completely separate queue, and although you will be able to eventually do solos and I believe quads, right now in the beta, we're only able to play duos. Now, my biggest issue with this filter system is that it's both a filter and, like, not even a filter at all. It's so weird. There are tactical, assault, or blitz-sized game modes that let you play either in small 6v6 games, mid-size 8v8s, and all the way up to 14 vs 14s and beyond, and you can select what size game you prefer by clicking on the right mode. So, for example, if let's say you want to play the smaller 6v6 Search and Destroy, you just click Tactical, then you unselect everything but Search and Destroy. Easy enough, right? Well, if you'd like to play either the 6v6 S&D games, but maybe perhaps for TDM or Domination, you want the larger size lobbies, you can't actually mix and match this filter. And if you click one lobby size, you're actually now locked into queuing for that size preference of the game for when you do initiate the search. This is a huge bummer since it means that every time you want to swap game modes, you actually have to go back and adjust your filters if you want a certain lobby size for that mode, instead of clicking through all the preferences and then just searching for the games that you've filtered individually. And even after adding all that to your filter, surprise, it's actually not even a filter, and it will just sometimes send you to whatever size game mode it wants. Here, I filtered for the larger assault games and got queued into the smaller 6v6s. It's just not a filter. Either stop calling it a filter or make an actual filter. I don't know if this is actually surprising to the devs, but I'm actually okay with a little bit of downtime in between games as long as I get the game mode I actually want to play. Because if I have to play 6v6 Patrol on Red Star again, I'm gonna go absolutely insane. As for the maps themselves, they're what you would expect from a sledgehammer Call of Duty. 3 lanes, and the small maps are small, while the larger maps are small. For example, Eagle's Nest is an incredibly small map with cliff faces on either side, and I've ended up accidentally jumping off of it countless times already. And when you're in the house itself, there are plenty of windows and doors, but you're actually only allowed to break through a small number of them, forcing you into focused choke points and kill zones. It's just a really frustrating design decision, since on a map like this, you usually have your spawns flipping constantly, so not only are you spawning into enemy fire, you're being forced into an enemy-held doorway the moment you start moving anyway. I'm not saying these maps can't be fun, but if you're expecting a bunch of groundbreaking designs, you're going to be disappointed. I will say for Gavudo, however, there is a really cool thing on the ship. You can actually raise and lower the tank, This type of stuff is cool. I like being able to interact with these parts on the maps, and I do think this adds a little bit of variability and just a little bit of player interaction that we should see a lot more of. On the larger maps like Gavudo, they can actually be pretty barren with 6 people. And for example, I had a round of 6v6 domination where I was actually able to use the dog kill streak after a lot of hide and seek finding the enemy team. And when the dogs were out, it was just an absolute stomp. It was a boring stomp, if that can even be a thing. 6 of us just running around with all of the objectives capped while the dogs hunted down the poor guys as they spawned. And if I wasn't having a good time, bored out of my mind while winning the game, while also using the dogs, I can't imagine what the other team was feeling. Some of these maps just aren't made for 6 people, and I really wish I could also filter in the specific map and size as well. I know that's probably never going to happen because then you'll end up with maps that are just never played, but you know, one can wish, right? Now, although I've heard people complain about every single map that has been released, since we do have 4 of the eventual 16 maps we'll get when the game comes out in November, I actually don't have that many issues with them except for Eagle's Nest. It's just so small and claustrophobic, whereas even something like Hotel Royal actually gives you some variance in height. You can crash through windows on the ceiling, come down elevator shafts, play on the roof, play on the sides, sprint on the balconies, and this is all in addition to fighting inside the hotel itself. One thing that I universally hate on almost every single map, however, is the Eye of Sauron that is in whatever universe we're fighting in. I cannot tell you how many times I've been blinded by this stupid thing, and it's happened on every single map except Hotel Royal since it's at night. I'm starting to think I'm actually going to need to get sunglasses just to play this game. First of all, eyes don't work like this, but besides that, within the same game, I've turned corners and gotten blinded, or worse, I turn a corner and get blinded, but the enemy is right there and can see perfectly fine while I get blasted. It's way too much, it's incredibly overtuned, and it just frankly doesn't make any sense. For the life of me, I don't know who thought to themselves that this was okay to ship. However, I will give them credit because every once in a while it does make for some funny moments with the 50-round drum mag on the Sten, since the combination of this magazine plus a lens flare means that on certain areas, I have absolutely zero visibility on what's in front of me. Literally, the entire screen is covered up by magazine and lens flare with just a small tiny corner to see what I'm about to run into. Speaking more on visibility, it's bad. It's just bad. When you fire your weapon, the intense visual recoil plus particle effects makes it seem like firecrackers are literally shooting out of your weapon, but these firecrackers aren't even HD. I have particle effects on high, and it still just looks super smudgy and blocky and just not good. It's incredibly disorienting, and although I've gotten used to it after about 8 hours of playing, it's just really not fun. And we haven't even taken into consideration the fact that all the players here are using the exact same player models and are speaking the same exact voice lines. There's no factions, there's no Axis versus Allies, there's no made-up Axis versus Allies, there's just your group of heroes against the other team's copy-pasted group of heroes, which means everyone's yelling the same things and everyone looks the same. Now, this may change when we get player customization, but it's so frustrating rounding a corner and thinking you're with a teammate only to have him 360 bunny hop quickscope you because the red diamond indicator never showed up. I don't know if this is just a recent development in gaming, but I'd argue that a lot of people don't actually want superhero legends every time they play a multiplayer game. Sometimes we just want to be a dude or chick on a team fighting other dudes or chicks on another team. And it helps if those other guys look like other guys. Not whatever the hell we have now, where we are literally fighting mirrored reflections of each other. If they want to go full into the customization route, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they can actually take a page from Battlefield 5 and let us customize separate factions specifically so we can have our preferred player model for whatever faction we end up using in that game. Now, player models aside, the game just kind of looks old. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I guess the best way to describe it is if you just slap some World War II paint on Call of Duty Cold War, and let's be honest, Cold War didn't look that good at all. It's bland, and I'm not excited when I see these player models. Now, these could just be placeholders, and we could get updated graphics, models, and textures for the full release, but all I can do is judge it for what we got, and the beta graphics are just not there. If the graphics seem bland, the weapon audio is worse. And apart from the grunt ping, which gets me going no matter what game it is, I just really don't like how anything sounds. The MG42 sounds like the MP40, which sounds like the STG44, which sounds like the Sten. And then sometimes you'll be firing and then you'll just randomly have the audio mute itself, since I guess suppression is supposed to cause you to become deaf, maybe? Did I turn into a vortex where all audio disappeared? Apart from the audio, weapon balance right now is pretty much what you'd expect if you played Call of Duty World War II. The STG-44 is the weapon of choice, with the Thompson and MP40 vying for second. Although we can't unlock everything and all the attachments aren't really available right now, I do hope for the sake of variety and replayability, we have a few different weapons that rise to the top of the meta. And not just the STG-44, as right now it really is head and shoulders above everything else. I will say that for kill streaks, weaponsmith, and loadouts themselves, I do really like it. You can make some absolutely disgusting looking weapons that only those on the Tarkov community could appreciate, but it's pretty engaging and fun to mess around with up to the 10 attachments and see what you can come up with. You can increase fire rates, add burst modes, certain grip tape helps ADS or hipfire, there's foregrips, various optics, it's all there. And I think this is definitely what Call of Duty gets right. And despite all the bugs and issues up until this point, when you're in the weaponsmith area, it works flawlessly. They did a really good job with this, and the weapon that you're able to make is truly your own, and sometimes, even if your KD sucks, these are the types of moments that it's fun throwing together something ridiculous and just having a good time with a weapon that is 100% your own doing. Now, the kill streaks are pretty run-of-the-mill, and although I personally did like the score streak system, especially in game modes like Kill Confirm or Domination, where it's like a sea of red dog tags or unclaimed points since people usually don't care to play the objective, I am fine with OG kill streaks since they definitely reward good shots. Oh, and although I know a lot of people play with a controller, yeah, there's still a whole bunch of us who play with mouse and keyboard, Sledgehammer. Using the glide bomb right now is literally impossible to use without a controller since the sensitivity scaling is basically non-existent. Just to move this thing a little left or a little right, I'm pretty much using my entire desk pad, and because of how small the blast radius is, if the enemy player moves at the last second, I don't have enough time to correct and I usually miss the shot. It's the little things like this that makes this a huge difference between playing on a console or playing on a PC. And as a PC only player, this makes me less inclined to purchase it, since to me, this now just feels like a console port to PC, which means that we might just be scratching the surface of the problems that will happen in a PC player's experience. If I'm being honest with myself, if I were to make a decision on the game to purchase it based purely on the beta, I don't think I would. It's just not really in a good state. The servers are unstable, the audio quality is poor, graphically it looks incredibly dated, and the game itself is just full of visual clutter that makes it more of a frustration to get through a match. I honestly would suggest waiting to see if the campaign seems worth it for you to pull the trigger if you're not much of a Warzone fan, since a lot of what I'm seeing seems like it's going to be tailor-made to slot right into the Warzone universe. In saying that, however, I can't say that I hate it, if that makes any sense. I don't know why. Vanguard isn't good. It's bad. It's like really bad. But I'm kind of okay with it being bad. It's kind of like FIFA or Madden, whatever your football game of choice is. I don't buy FIFA 21 because I think it's going to be a huge step up from FIFA 20. When you buy these sports games, you're really just paying for new uniforms and stadiums, maybe a career mode change, and the other 95% of the game is literally copy-paste from the last one. Vanguard gunplay feels like Call of Duty. You're sliding, you're jump spamming, you're dolphin diving, and you're playing Call of Duty with a relatively quick time to kill that you've played for years. I mean, it does feel like a really bad audio version of Call of Duty with really bad graphics and a lot more visual clutter, but it still plays like Call of Duty despite all of these issues. The only real big change to the game is Champion Hill, and I honestly think this game mode is pretty gimmicky and won't be played much after the initial release and all the hype wears off. At the very least, if you are on the fence on this game, don't spend the money needed to get the early access, or at least don't get the $100 special Battle Pass edition version for the game game, since multiplayer is kind of a mess right now. Wait for the open beta that starts in the weekend, try it out, and see what you think. With Halo Infinite and Battlefield 2042 around the corner as well, there's going to be a lot of tough decisions made for people who can only really afford or have time for one FPS game. And I've got to be honest, if you are already playing Cold War and Warzone, there is almost no need to buy this, since this is basically a worse version of that game, at least right now. But what do you guys think? Are you having fun in Vanguard? Are you having a tough time getting through the beta? Can you even load the game? Let me know in the comments below if this is a buy or hard pass for you. And if you did like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. I know I don't typically do these type of review videos on other games, but I'm trying something a little different right now, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and do let me know what you thought of it. But that's it for me. Until next time, peace.
New intel, ready for report. Double kill.